I'll tell you what, you're all now ready for your next step in life. You'll be following your dreams, you'll be changing India, you'll be changing yourselves. A lot of these decisions is what you will take of them, but then there's always an event which will come along and change your life. What I thought I'll talk to you and share with you today is that event which happened in my life, and I will talk about it, and this event actually happened 12 years ago. Another 4 days, and it will be exactly 12 years ago. Until then, I was from the world of finance, banking. I used to be fairly satisfied with my life. I didn't think there'll be any more changes to it. There used to be this big fat bonus you would always expect at the end of the year. And you just work towards that. You work towards getting a higher salary, getting a better car, a better house, maybe a new suit or a new foreign vacation. And that's what kept every one of us happy. Then came 26/11 in 2008. How many of you have heard about it? Well, let me tell you what happened on that evening. 26/11 happened in Mumbai, as you all know. We had a couple of people who came and created a difficult time for many of us in India, and many of us in Mumbai at that point of time. I was staying at the Oberoi Hotel in Mumbai. I had a table booked at the Indian restaurant there. The table was booked at 9 o'clock. I reached there at 9:05. I was 5 minutes late. And the table had been given away to somebody else whom I knew very well, who had started a bank in India. That table was right ahead facing the seaside, just when you enter. Since I was late, they gave me a table right next to the kitchen door, and I complained about it because I had a guest with me coming. However, that person sitting at the table across waved to me because he's a friend. He had 6 foreign guests. I walked across to him. He said, "I'm sorry I got this one." And I said, "It's okay." And I went back to the one next to the kitchen door. 10 minutes later, my colleague and I were speaking, and we heard firecrackers. He was a British person. He looked at me and said, "The firecrackers are very loud." I said, "It happens in India, you know, we have weddings all the time." 3 minutes later, we had 2 people who walked in and started spraying bullets across the entire restaurant. The first table to go was the one which was booked for me earlier. I caught hold of this person's hand. He was 12 years older than I was. And I said, "Let's run through the kitchen door." I don't know if you read the newspaper, but virtually everybody in that restaurant was gone. We ran through the kitchen door. We ran again, and we didn't know where we were running. We ran through the kitchen. There was a flap door which came in front of me. We had a choice of going down or going up on the stairs. I told him, "Michael, let's run up," because I was staying on the 12th floor. And I said, "We'll go and stay there." And I still didn't know what was happening. We ran up to the 12th floor. We ran up to my room. I locked my room. We were sitting there. We switched on the television. It was 9:45, and the television said, "Gang warfare in Mumbai." At that time, they still didn't know what was happening. They thought it was a gang warfare. I told Michael, "Don't worry, it'll get over a little more while." I called up my family and I told them, "I'm here, I'm in my room." None of them had seen the television. They were in Delhi. They switched it on, and I guess they all got to know what it was. I called up some other friends. By midnight, the headline had changed. It said, "Terrorist attack in Mumbai." At that time, I didn't know what to do. Until that time, my life had been completely protected. If somebody ever asked me what was the most important moment of your life, I couldn't have thought of one. Maybe the first time I took my wife out when I was seeing her, or one of those things. Or the first time I had my firstborn and I held him in my hand. By the time it was morning, the television went off in the room. They had blocked the entire, so we couldn't see the television. But by that time, my phone was on and I was getting SMSs. What actually happened, that they had got a few hostages from that restaurant. They went up to the 18th floor. And when they came down to the 12th floor, they were in the room next to mine with those 8 hostages. What was happening then, that every hour or two, I would hear a lot of screaming, shouting, and a gunfire. And later I got to know that meant that there was one less hostage with them. When I got to know that we were in this place, and we were in the midst of this entire activity, you try and see what is the best you can do with you. So the first thing I did was to block, under the door, that entire passage, the little space you have. I got wet towels and put it there. Then I got all the towels in the room and blocked the vents of the room. And I'll tell you why I was doing that. The third I did was to fill the tub with water. But when you fill the tub with water in a hotel and you switch on the tap, you would hear the noise of the water falling. So what I did was to keep a glass, because there are no mugs in these hotels, keep a glass under the tap and put it by the wall, so it will fall in the glass and then by the wall, so the tub gets filled. I created a bunker in the room, very limited way of doing it. Then I took one of the mattresses and blocked the door with it. Why was I doing this? I don't know. It was just pure instinct of survival. I had my friend who was completely miles away from his family in England. He was thoroughly lost. He sat all night in his room. I asked him if there was anything I could do. There was nothing at all. By the morning of Thursday, this was a Wednesday night. By the morning of Thursday, what used to happen, so I don't know if you know how the Oberoi in Mumbai is. There's an atrium in the middle, and the rooms are around. So there's a hollow thing in the middle. What they were doing is, by that time, we believed that some of the security agencies had moved in. So they used to keep throwing stun grenades every hour or so, open the door and put it in there. And the entire hotel used to keep shaking. And there was a lot of gunfire. My room was overlooking the sea. And I could look at the road round there, and there were 3 trees. And under each one of them was a security guard. These NSG, the National Security Guard with their guns. And I used to speak to him in sign language. And I noticed that I was secure in my room, but that person had been in duty from 8 o'clock, and he had got nothing to eat until 2:30 in the afternoon, because I was seeing that happen. And that's when I felt that for my security, here is a person who's willing to give up his life when he would have never met me. I asked him several times, have you had something to eat? He said, don't worry, this is all in sign language happening. You take care of yourself. The firing intensified on Thursday. Around 12:30, Thursday, again, there were 2 shots. Again, I'm told people went away. It subsided all the way until 6 o'clock. We thought it was okay. By the way, I must tell you at that time, I wasn't taking my phone calls. I could not. I didn't want them to know that there was someone in the next room. The reason is that if the hostages were gone, they would have obviously come to the next room to get the hostages again. That's the only way they would have survived. But by the end of Thursday, I had over 1,000 SMSs on my phone. What had happened the next day, it had come on the news that I was there, because one of our friends is a news anchor. And my 2 boys were going to school in Delhi. And you know what touched me? There was a prayer meeting in the school that I come out alive. I studied in the school in Delhi. There was a prayer meeting in that school for me. I did my college in Delhi, my early college. There was a prayer meeting in the college. And then I did my early schooling in Chandigarh, and there was a prayer meeting in Chandigarh. And all this, by the evening, I'm getting photographs and SMSs. And most of these people I've never known, would never know, have never met. And yet you realize that there are so many out there who care for you when even they don't know you. And so many who know you, who actually are touched by you. It changes your entire thought process. By Thursday evening, I was negotiating with God. I said, the only thing which I want, if I can hug my 2 boys be with my parents and my wife once in my life. You know that entire big bonuses for which we used to give our lives? Working overnighters and not having time for our parents and our family only because we were obsessed by getting another new car or another new vacation. It suddenly meant nothing. At that time I was thinking, and I sent a message to my wife, I had not written a will. The only message I got back from her is, you don't have to worry about it. You'll be back. That was Thursday. I was sure that I was gone. Thursday evening, the firing got more intense. The NSG had moved in. They had blocked all the rooms. So what they would do is, they would come out of the elevator or the exit points. So the NSG had covered all the exit points. And from the 18th floor down, they were going room by room to check where these people were, because they didn't know how many of them were there. Obviously, 12th floor was one of the end, last at the end, but the firing would continue right through. And when it got worse, what these people did was to put the curtains in their room on fire. So you remember I had used the wet towels to block the vents? The reason why I did that is because if there was a fire, you would have all that smoke bellowing into your room. The reason is 5-star hotels do not have windows which can be opened. There was a time during the day, Michael asked me, do you think we're just on the 12th floor? Why don't we break the window and get out? So I said that was a good idea. I took all the sheets in the room, wet them, tied them, tried to create a rope, tied them to the end of the bottom of the bed. But it was only thing I got was about 18 feet. So I told Michael that even if I break the window, break it down, if we fall, our chances are you're an old man, I'm as old as you are, close to. Not much of us would be left by the end we reach that road. Plus we also decided that, if we try and break that window and they're next door and they get to know about it, it wasn't one of the smartest ideas. So we let that be. Thank God we didn't break that window, because when they set it on fire, if we had broken the window, our room would have been the suction point. We would have gone. You know what was interesting? During this entire process, and I've not yet ended, the body refused to accept even a sip of water. There is so much trauma and acidity within the system that even when I tried, so in the fridge, near the fridge, we had those digestive biscuits. Now what had happened is this colleague of mine, Michael, had just gotten out of a heart attack about 4 months ago. So what I was also worried is that if something happens to him, what do I do at that point of time? So I had a few antacid tablets lying with me in my bag, and I used to give him one in the morning and one in the evening. That's all what I could do. The firing got very intense. Friday morning around 2 o'clock. We had a few bullets coming into our door. We had the mattress there. But we could hear it. What had happened by that time is the NSG had moved in stronger, and they were coming down to the 12th floor, and by that time they had identified these people were there. I had friends, every half an hour they used to send me an SMS telling me, this is what is happening outside. Don't worry about it. This is what you ought to be doing. You know what is interesting? That in times like this, the language when people communicate with each other gets very limited. 2/3 or 70% of those SMSs just said, don't worry, God is with you. There were a few which said, we are waiting for you outside. Think about it, when you have to find out those messages to each other, what is the language we get to use? Let me cut it short. It became very bad Thursday night, Friday morning. Friday at 2:30, I got a message that even if somebody comes and knocks on your door, you're not going to open it. They felt that 2 of them had moved out and they were looking for more hostages, because by that time they had killed all the hostages which were with them. Now I was in a worse situation. I was thinking it'll come to an end sometime. From 2:30 to 5:30, the firing and the bombing. They used to keep throwing those grenades, remember? Every time they would throw that grenade, it was a stun grenade, which I found out later, the entire hotel would shake. It was a memory which can never get away. About 10:30 in the morning on Friday, this started on a Wednesday night. Everything went silent. I got a call around 11. There's somebody who will come at your knock at your door. You're allowed to open it. I told Michael it'll be all right. Don't worry. I was very concerned. He never spoke a word during that entire period. Never. I tried to send some messages to my two boys, but they refused to come on the phone. All what I got was one of them had sent saying a big hug, Dad. The younger one had sent saying, I'm waiting for you. 2:30, they knocked. I opened the door. 5 people were there in their dress, armed. They gave me my name. I said, yes. I said, please take Michael first. So they took Michael down. Then they came back up again. They came, they gave me a body cover, and we ran through down the stairs, 12 floors of them. I asked the captain, I said, have you had anything to eat? He said, not yet, sir. I said, when did you eat last? He said, sir, it's going to be about 24 hours now. You know what they had done? There were groups of 5 of these NSGs. They used to run up every floor, every room, one by one. They would run down with that person and then run back up again. They did that non-stop. I never met any of them ever again. I tried to, but I was told I cannot. I came out of the hotel. I had 6 of my friends waiting for me out there, just under the Air India building. What they had done is they had parked a car and stayed there for 2.5 days, not knowing when I will come out. And then, if somebody asked me today what is the happiest moment of my life, it's the easiest one to explain. I landed in Delhi. I was in the aircraft. And my boys came running in. Nothing matches it. It's okay, thanks. And that was the day I decided that I'm not going to work for money anymore. And you know what was touching? I had a team, and we were in a private equity business at that point of time. Private equity, I don't know if you guys know, gives huge amounts of money as paychecks. Most of them came to me and said, sir, this entire money, we'd like to donate wherever charity you want to give it to us. It was that which changed my life. And that's how I found myself in the government. But I must tell you one thing. Of all the things which I held in life were important for me, which was that big check, when everybody said somebody is doing well, that is because he got a big salary check and a big bonus, or he got posted overseas. What I have done for the past 5 years of my life, in my mind, have been the most satisfying ever. My salary today is probably at a 99.9% cut. It doesn't mean anything. What means is the ability, when you can try and help others and move beyond you, the level of satisfaction which this gives is immense. I would urge all of you to come to our office. They're all young like you. I've got 160 of them. Each one is from an IIM, Ahmedabad, or the top ones, IITs, Ivy Leagues. They've all taken paycheck cuts of anywhere between 7 to 95%. They're all there to change India. And they work day and night. So just remember, A lot of your life is in your own hands, but there will always be some events which will shape it. So always remain ready for the unknown. Thank you.